Hello, welcome back to BLENDERSUSHI Live Noding. In this episode, I'm gonna take a look at this creation of the like a short chair, or it could also be like a table. This is should be like a fun little exercise. There isn't much to it at the moment. This is like my first attempt. This is probably not like not perfect, but this is a good idea of the kind of the workflow that I did. You will see a few few gotcha and what we could have done differently, but I found that when designing something like this, it's almost similar like when you are doing character rigging for animators. So for animating, for normally if you're like a rigger, you make like some kind of setup for the animators so they can animate um, the character or the objects or props. In this case, you are thinking about the control you want to give for the modeler or the asset artist. So this is the final result, even though it goes beyond what it's supposed to be. So I make a limit here so it doesn't go beyond under 3. Table cannot have 2 less legs, and then I didn't give like a maximum value. I think if it's at some point it looks like a little bit like Octopus actually, which is interesting. Let's make it 4 at the moment. I think I started with a cylinder here. It's probably not the best starting point, but this can work. Like in this case, it's nice to have the bottom and the top controller, and this is not exactly like a table where we can kind of stretch out. I didn't plan for that. This is more like a circular kind of design, although this table is quite alright. It looks like a short Japanese table, only useful for one person. And we have, let's see, that's the bottom part. It's kind of nice to be able to do that, although at some point it looks maybe a little bit too wide and it doesn't stay on the floor anymore. So the green part is of course the cylinder part, and then we have the height. Changing the height, actually if I do this, I need to make changes to the cylinder or the legs part. So that's a little bit of kind of limitations, but we can actually kind of work around that. There is also this subdivision on the cylinder that currently doesn't really work properly, but this could be interesting if you have like you want to have like a multiple stack table. It doesn't actually work at the moment. So what I did with the cylinder is I first I did a rotation, because by default cylinder is with 4 legs looking like this. So I just rotated 45 degrees. So that's easy to understand. And then I do like a list slicing on this vertices data. And there's also list slicing here. Oh, actually, yeah, I remember. I kind of slicing the top and the bottom part, and then kind of using the subtract to get the vector that I could use for the legs. This is actually that's what's happening here. The matrix, you see the matrix, I'm subtracting the top part of the cylinder and the bottom part of the cylinder, so I'm getting this vector that I could use for the leg, for the direction. So that's what's going on. Plug into the matrix here for this. This is the cylinder for the leg actually. I did the same rotation, 45 degree and 180. That's not particularly interesting. And then I have list slicing goes into this guy, and this is to create the bevel. What I did here is taking the top part, so I'm able to kind of extrude and use the top part of the cylinder to make this the table part. Starting with the cylinder is actually can be quite convenient, although probably it's a good idea to separate it so we don't depend on the cylinder too much. See, I'm using solidify for the thickness, because extrusion, if I use polygon extrude in Sverchok, it tends to give a hole at the bottom, so I'm using solidify, and bevel is just for details. So I guess this is pretty simple, but I'm gonna show you that if you are the convenience of using cylinder is because if we start with cylinder and then we use the UV connection, just plugging in the vertices, this guy's output it, and you see if we turn on separate, we can have this. And you can of course design your table or your simple chair this way, and you can also get the legs easily. So you just need to modify, get the data you need, and then just modify it. So this also kind of can be useful if you see this and this. If you make a chair that's a little bit taller, normally with a taller chair you have like the bottom part for the legs, and if you want to do this more properly, you want to also add the back part for our bag, so it doesn't fall if it's too high, you know. Yeah, this is probably a good exercise, like a version 2 of the chair table thing. Same thing with the table. You want to be able to kind of make the table a bit longer and to maybe have more legs. So this is interesting, very interesting exercise. So if you start with a cylinder, like I said, definitely you can use the ring, you can use this for the leg, and you can take the top part and just have the chair from there. So that's the convenient. Although you are dependent on this top and the bottom part, it still can be okay for this purpose. See, that's controlling the height, separate the edges. Yeah, I might make a different version of the same problem solution. For now, I guess this is pretty much it. I'll give you the notes so you can play around with it. At some point, I'm also thinking you want to give control to the animators or to the modeler. Maybe you can give like the top and bottom controller for table or chair, so they can kind of, okay, if they think, okay, I want to stretch the leg or I want to make the table kind of longer, can we just use this controller for the users to control, and everything's gonna update, and then once they're happy they just bake it and they get the chair. So that's another way you can approach this. Otherwise you can just give like a slider controller for them. Would be nice if the legs can also be, you know, be randomized somehow. You'll see. Maybe that's another way. I think I could actually do that. Although currently, okay, the leg is not originated from line, so I need to use the cylinder and maybe randomize. Just randomize input 36 in this case. Yeah, not very nice. I think it can be better, but before we go that far, maybe we can make a better design of this. This is my first attempt to create this setup anyway. Simple, but a lot of kind of concept and thinking behind it to make it like usable. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this live noding. If you have any questions, suggestion, feedback, just let me know, and I'll see you